What do you want to know first?
Well, first, Gunter, let me welcome you to the Underdog Talk, the most underrated podcast on earth. And Gunter, there is something about the underdog. But ladies and gentlemen, I mean, you see him. We have an absolute beast on the Underdog Talk, aka the gentle giant
Yeah.
himself, the one and only. And you're looking like a green gentle giant with that shirt. If anyone gets the reference to the peacock or whatever. Anyways,
Yeah.
I'm glad you got that. The one and only Mr. Gunter Schlierkamp. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for asking, and thank you for having me on and being part of this podcast. Enjoy it. So awesome. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, sir, for coming on. Now, Gunter, I have to know who gave you the nickname the Gentle Giant. Who gave you it?
Oh man, I actually, to be honest, I have no idea. I think it first came up in a magazine. I think Muscle Fitness or Flex, and one of the writers, I think he wrote, and it's like, and Gunther walked on stage like the gentle giant, because in the way I would carry myself and all this stuff, but being pretty massive.
I mean,
They just say, every time when I come, I'm like normally, very calm. And I was kind of more in the back and never be really like upfront and loud and stuff. So I don't know. I think it came from that. But literally, I think it was the first time one of the writers of the Muscle Fitness or Flex magazine came up with it, the Gentle Giant.
I see nothing gentle or small. Well, I guess giants are small. I see nothing gentle about this competitor. And I mean, I loved your career. Fantastic, incredible. And honestly, for bodybuilding, you were up there. You were at 6'1", and I mean, that's a very tall height for bodybuilders. We're
Yeah.
seeing
I
five.
might have been at 1.62 actually. I'm still about 6'1" and a little bit. So, but doing a lot of squats with 750, 800 pounds might kind of shrink you a little bit over the years. So,
That
I think
is
I was
possible.
about I think it was the tallest I was 6'2" probably. So, but yeah, obviously when you get older, you kind of shrink a little, I guess.
Gunter, all I'm gonna say is I'm 5'6", so excuse my French, fuck. Um, I
Well,
don't
you
want
remind me
to.
of my workout partner. I always give him crap, because he's like, when we train and we're using heavy weights and stuff, I said, well, it's actually easy for you. Oh, you're talking and stuff. And I said, well, you're only 5'6". Your range of motion sucks, man. You just go like, and I'm going like long ways.
Okay, so you do everything better than me. Okay, let's.
Well, our way, it's like if you do a deadlift, our way up is more longer, it's higher. It's like if you do a leg press, you push further up instead of going like, it, my range of motion is like push up, push down. And then, yeah, it's you.
Well,
It's like,
well, we're forgetting the fact that you're an actual bodybuilder and that you are actually big. So, I mean, I think you have more than just the range of motion on me. Now, I have to ask, and I don't want to assume, but did you watch this year's Mr. O? And then, what were your thoughts on this year's Mr. O?
um, I, well, so I thought when Remy comes in condition, and we're talking like
Yeah.
crisp, right? Like Hardy was, I actually think he could have won, but to me,
Wow.
how do you say that? I there were certain group or muscle groups I feel like they didn't improve at all, and you know what I mean? It's like there's a little density missing, I think, with Remy. And well, don't get me wrong, if you get so big, right?
Mhm.
There is a point at some point, what you do, to come in control, because I had that too. Like for instance, sometimes when I did look up here from my chest to shoulders, right, when I was like literally a couple of weeks out before the show, it looked freaking impressive, all striated all through. But then I turn around and in my lower back, there was still some meat hanging. So, something I had to get rid of. So obviously, if I would have done a show that way, I look impressive up here. But when I would turn around, you still don't look complete because your back is not in condition. You know what I mean? It's like is certain condition and there's condition, and I mean, how you can say that? I feel like, some people that got to get away from always being bigger, 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 bigger. Why not? When you're big, you're impressive, and just stay at the weight and year out, year in. You don't have to come heavier. Work on the quality of the muscle. Just get the quality, grind that muscle, do reps and stuff. You don't have to be always bigger, bigger, because bigger, bigger, it's like, well, something got to give. It's like, yeah, you get bigger, but to get then really where you're weak or maybe in your back or wherever you have the last like body fat hanging, to get rid of that, you gotta give a little, and people always try to, I don't know, I feel like it seems like they want to be bigger and bigger, and you gotta go for condition. That's really what counts, and I feel like nothing else. So condition is it's really what makes it happen.
And I love the analysis. And the reason I had to ask if you watched it this year, when Dennis Wolf was on the show, and he goes, I haven't watched it in years, until recently, I was like, oh, are like legend bodybuilders not watching the sport anymore? So I don't want to assume that you guys aren't watching it, but I mean, Gunter, your analysis was perfect. But to be fair, how can a guy get bigger than he already is without it looking sloppy? And especially that we're seeing more of conditioning come into it.
Well, you see, in my opinion, his max size, right? He had already like 3 years ago when he won the first time. Yeah. From that point on, when you win, that's when you just feel like you need to grind the muscle, like get the muscle quality, get like literally every muscle up to par that you have striations, because it's like, well, if you go for bigger and bigger, right, where you want to end at the end, it's like you want to look like the Hulk. It's like there is a limit after so many years of pounding and gunning and extending your muscle size. Then there comes a time where it's like you literally gotta file it, get it precise, get it into condition, So you gotta step away then from being that big, I mean, at some point, well, I feel like when I was at the time, at the end, I didn't really want it to get bigger, bigger, and bigger. I stayed. I never went over my heavy. One time I went up to 337, but after that, I never really went heavier than 325. So when I came down, I was always between 295 and 300 in condition. When I beat Ronnie, I was 302. But at the Olympia, I would 3 weeks before I beat Ronnie. At that Olympia, when I placed fifth and, the crowd went nuts and stuff, I was probably more like 295. I just kind of blew up a little bit more for, New Orleans for 3 weeks later, when I then beat Ronnie. But like I said, I never tried to go bigger and bigger because I know to get in condition and get my whole body there, I don't know. Here's the thing: you can get bigger, you improve something, but then you have to get down. There's still something I think you gotta always get to the point where you have your last. With me was always my hips and the lower back. If you get that really like sharp and shredded and striated, I feel like you still have to get down to that. And sometimes I feel like people focus so much. No, I need to come in 5 pounds heavier. It's like I don't think you have to, because every time you work and you get the quality up, that makes bodybuilding is an illusion. I mean, it really is. So when you go on stage and you're just that more crisp, you look that more impressive and probably even 10 pounds or 5 pounds heavier. So I don't know. I feel like I also felt with Ronnie Oracle, not Ronnie Oracle. God, what's his name? Who didn't compete this year? He won the Arnold. He always had a hard time. God, it's like Rolly, yeah. Rolly Winkler, yeah. Rolly Winkler, yeah. Well, how could Rolly? Anyway, Rolly Winkler. And so I said that was the same. And I tried. when he came, I mean, he looks so impressive. His shoulder, arms. I mean, he is. I think he's the most impressive guy ever I've seen. But then when you look and going on stage, it was always the legs, and the midsection that had to come down. And even Arnold mentioned that at some point he could have won the Arnold. He came in second and said, "Well, if you come a little bit," and that is really it. That I think sometimes people get caught up in the weight and trying to be heavier and heavier. And I don't know, I think at some point when you get the size, from that point on, you gotta, work on just the crispiness, the condition, and just the conditioning of the muscle. I wouldn't look for being heavier every year. If you literally stand up there with your size and your math and you're literally of the top guys, just work on the quality. And I think that people would do much better or fare better. But,
Yeah.
who I am to say that.
Well, you are also a guy who has beat Ronnie Coleman at the O, at the GNC, show strength as well.
See,
you did well.
See, look, with Ronnie. Ronnie is, in my opinion, the only one who kind of had some weights up and down, right? But who came also every time he was in condition.
Yeah.
One time when he looked big, he still came in and he was just a master, but he also was in condition.
Yeah.
Then some people I think his best they ever saw him think that was when he won the Arnold's Classic. Wasn't he like literally striated all through? I mean, like everything. So, there's opinions. So some people just think, wow, and it is really hard to do. It's like for some people, when you get to a certain size, if you try to always go heavier and stuff, you got to look really. Condition is the thing that gets you the first place, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yes, I totally agree. Now, I have to ask you this as a competitor, and we'll go into who your coach was. How big of a factor was having, Hani as a coach for both Derek and Hadi? How big of a factor was having the GOAT as a coach for them?
Well, I think it's a big factor, 100%.
One too.
The last days. First of all, it's funny. I did certain shows for that, and I competed for many times, and I did all my diet and stuff on my own, and I came in certain times really in good condition and stuff. But it's really good if you, at some point, when it gets really like when the competition gets bigger, tighter and tighter, and you want to get up there, it's nice to have someone that you can trust and knows what he's doing. He knows your body. And it doesn't mean right away when you work with somebody, he boom, you nail it, but he gets to know you. But also, if you have trust in that person and you don't have to think about it, you just trust them, and and if he gives you just a slightly, a calmness, about working with them, I'm telling you, it makes a big difference, especially when you go, for competition. So the night or 2 nights, 3 nights before the show, you did not weigh in, but you had your athlete meeting, all this stuff, you have your meetings and stuff. There's a lot of nerves that come and fire to fire. So when you have someone and you don't have to worry about, and you question everything, because if you do it on your own, you question everything you do, everything. So when you have someone that you trust and who knows really to the T what he's doing, and you fully trust that, you don't have that worry. So you just go into it and you just let loose. Your mind is not occupied. Where when you do it on your own, you question this, you question that. Should I do this? Should I do that? It's like there's a lot of things always that you question. Or you are at the point that 100%, but your body responds that way, then responds that way. But again, not every year is the same year. The diet 1 year from the other can change so much. All of a sudden, your body doesn't respond to what you did last year. So you have to switch things up, So what you're going to do then? You got to figure things out, And if you have that person who kind of helps you with that and said, well, let's try this, and stuff, and little tweaks there. And instead of you going, okay, should I do that? Should I? And then you start thinking and overthinking and doing too much or too less. And then things kind of go in the wrong direction,
And obviously, you had one of the, I don't know if you're understanding of modern slang, but GOAT means greatest of all time. I don't know if you knew that, Gunter, but you also had one of the GOAT coaches in the sport, obviously Charles Glass.
Yeah.
Now, what was Charles Glass like, and how did his coaching help you become a better bodybuilder and one of the best of all time?
Well, actually, for many, like again, I did it with my training and nutrition. I did a lot of my own on my own, and it was funny. One year, I believe it was 1999, the Ironman, and the Ironman just happened. I was in excellent condition, and I did the Arnold's, and people asked me, "Fuck." So then, after the Ironman was done, I ran. I was in the morning already, like on a treadmill again, because after the Ironman, the Arnold's happened.
Yep.
And then I ran into Charles. He's always every morning early there in the gym. And he said, "Dude, who did you diet?" And I said, "What do you mean? I did it on my own." I said, "What?" I said, "I did it on my own." And he said, "Holy shit, you look great." So, and I asked him actually, he said, "Look, I always consider I really would like to work with you because I just can't bring up my back. I always thought, and it's really so easy. Like looking in a mirror, you focus always on the front. But it's funny if over years, how many bodybuilders I've seen, they kill you from the front, but as soon as they turn around, all of a sudden it's a different picture. And for me, I had a hard time for my size bringing up my back, and then just working with Charles and going into the gym, not thinking about what you do. And I'm telling you, that is the best. You go in the gym, he says, "Okay, here, boom." And you just do it for an hour, hour and a half. You just grind without thinking, should I do this exercise? Should I do that? That was the biggest change for me. And Charles is really good in, coming up with some angles and exercises. And he watches you. I feel like when he looks at your physique, you go to the posing room and stuff, and he kind of thinks in his mind, goes, "Okay, if we do this and the angle are different, it really hits there." And he comes up with different grips and all the stuff, and it literally worked. My back got better in 1 year. It was a drastic change. And not only my back, I mean everything else, but it's just the exercises and stuff he did. And obviously there's a lot of isolation involved because with bodybuilding, you can do a lot of compound exercises to get strong. I get a good foundation and base, but after that, you have to isolate a lot to, make certain muscle pop, and then make them work, and bring them up.
And obviously the pairing between you two was extraordinary. I mean, some small feat, beating Ronnie at the GNC show Strength, where you really stood out. And then obviously kind of my favorite of your career, the 2005 Mr. O, where you placed fourth, and that was that was your best finish in the O. But that lineup, I mean, you had Ronnie, Jay, Branch, Chris, Marcus. I mean, so many other legends. What was it actually like competing against Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, Branch Warren, Marcus Rule, and so many other legends?
Well, obviously it was great, especially to be up there with the best. I always say in competition in sport, you want to measure yourself always against the best, or obviously, but you never want to go, well, if he would have been there, and it's like, it's the year, every year is a new year. It's almost like in the NFL too. Every given Sunday, it's like every year is a new year. So you can come in, you hit the condition, and you can beat guys that you never thought you could beat, And about being with the legends of course, that is the time when you wanted to be out there, with the great ones. And I enjoyed it. I had always fun. It was definitely, it's the favorite time of my life, man. Doing bodybuilding and loved doing, what you're passionate about,
Mm-hmm. And what would you say the main difference between, bodybuilding back when you competed way back versus modern bodybuilding? Because I've heard bodybuilders come on the show and say there isn't that sense of camaraderie where there's just, you're both up there, you're enjoying each other's presence, you're feeding off that other person, you're bumping them, you're having fun, and it's just like, it seems like you guys aren't even competing against each other, you're just having fun up there. But what would you say is a main difference between modern bodybuilding and when you were competing, Gunter?
Well, you know what is I don't know. I hope it. I you know. Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Yep.
Oh, okay, okay. It's I didn't know if something came up there. So anyway, I didn't know if it was going. You know, I feel like it is. Is it maybe the enjoyment? Look, I felt when look. You got to understand. For me, I started with a dream. 12 years old, I saw Conan the Barbarian. At that age, I said, okay, that's incredible. So I read about Conan, Arnold, what did he do? He went with one bag to America from Austria, and he has his career as a movie star now. He was like Mr. Olympia, so many times, Mr. Universe, and all the stuff, right? And from that point on, there was not one thought that I thought I can't do that. I was like training with little dumbbells at home. At 16, I finally joined the gym. 2 years later, I did 7 shows in a row, won all of them. 2 years later, I did the junior world and the junior German championship. 2 years later, I did the men's heavyweight European and the German championship, won that two right away. And a year later, I was already Mr. Universe in the heavyweight. And then I was 23 and I was a pro. So, and I don't know, I loved it so much. And I don't know, when I look at every other, like Kevin, Sean, and all these guys, I I don't know, maybe we enjoyed it more or we had more fun with it. Maybe the time was different. I'm just look at Weeder, I think people pay him not enough credit. That company had 28, 30 athletes under contract. It was huge. I mean, who does that today? Is there actually any contract? No, everything is social media. And I just don't think that, I don't know, it was more like a sport. Now it feels like it's like social media. It's almost like, well, if, for instance, NFL is a sport, right? So they aren't getting paid by how many likes they get on social media. They get paid for the work they do. See, in bodybuilding, yeah, you get paid obviously through the competition, but I'm talking about sponsorships that's where normally the money was always when you get sponsorships with companies, promoting their products and do appearances, doing guest appearances, all this stuff. I don't know. I don't, and there was a time maybe because you can combine it with a golden era that we just enjoyed every day, the lifting, the grind, the competing, the dieting, that being better than that. I don't know. I feel like maybe we enjoyed it together more than you think. And also, if you look at it, when I came from Germany, I worked the first time in Golds. I was like, holy shit, look at these guys. Flex, Paul Lillette, Chris Cormier, Kevin was there, Sean Way. You ran onto all these guys. Now you go to Golds, who you run into? I don't know anybody. It's like, what I'm saying is, that used to be the mecca of bodybuilding and people were drawn to it. Mike Christian, Dorian came in once in a while from England. Gary Stridham, all these guys even from the 80s and beginning 90s. I mean, it's like, it's like you couldn't get better than that. That is not the day there anymore. And it's almost like people, it was a more funner time, I think. Maybe it's, and after time, you don't know what the grind is, what the other things are. And I just think it literally made goals and made a lot of things happen. And then said people enjoyed the time together. Just going after every workout. You could go at noon to the firehouse in Venice or Santa Monica there on Rose. Yes. Holy moly. It's like everybody was there eating their rice and chicken and all that stuff. Like, it was fun. It was like, hey, dude, how are you doing? Bump into them and stuff. I mean, it was great.
And I've heard about those firehouse subs more than 1 million times. Apparently, apparently that is the post meal of legendary bodybuilders. And I mean, the food of gods. I've heard so much about that firehouse sub. I mean, I heard Ronnie would just go there and devour food, and everyone would just go there.
Oh yeah, dude, it was great, man. It was awesome. Yeah. It was really cool, and like I said, maybe that has to do with it. You saw each other more. Maybe does that make sense?
Yes.
You constantly ran into someone, and I don't know. It's like, what is now with guest appearances? For instance, it's like I was almost at least every second weekend gone, or almost sometimes even like 4 weeks, 5 weeks in a row. I was every weekend going. an appearance, some trade show, and you always ran into people, you know. And I think now you do that maybe at some of the shows, maybe the Arnold's, you do that maybe in Dubai now, you know. And or they used to, the FIBO is obviously in Germany where you run into a lot of people, but besides then you don't run that much into people, and the FIBO is always so busy you have really no time to talk. But if you go to a smaller shows, you know, and you are one of the guest holders, and there's another one and said, "Hey man, how you doing?" It's like, you know, it's just funny. You know, and you kind of just have to laugh about it. I did one time a guest appearance with NASA El Somebody. It was so funny. So the guy, he stopped like all the way at the end of the parking lot, and nothing got all upset. He said, "I don't want to walk that far." And I couldn't understand why he didn't want to walk to the restaurant. It was just, you know, because it was like the gym was up on the other side of the parking lot, and we just had to walk across the parking lot. And he hated it. It was like there was a funny experiences how you know, get to know people, you know, and stuff. It was great, you know. I don't know. Maybe that's kind of what's missing, you know.
Yeah. And it feels like those were the good days of bodybuilding. I mean, we would see all the legends, including yourself, smiling at the gym and having fun, just enjoying it.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked as a kid watching, you know, Pumping Iron and even going to the Generation Iron, it just looks fun. It looks fun. Now, I guess, do you see bodybuilding going in the correct way? With that being said, in terms of the popularity of the sport growing?
Well, you know, I don't know. It seems like the classic physique is really picking up, though, doesn't it? It feels like, does it not almost get more support than the open bodybuilding, I think? Or I'm wrong there, because I don't know, but well,
yeah,
I think that there's still a lot of people talking about, and the Mr. Olympia, obviously, who wins it and stuff.
Yes.
But besides then, I don't know if the following is so good. And here's the thing. I used to work in a gym, and a lot of people said, "Fuck, man, I want to look like that." You don't hear that anymore. You know what I mean? I hear more like, "I don't want to look like that," instead of "I want to look like that." And I always compare that to, you go back to Arnold, you know, my goodness, he was like, what, in shape, maybe 249 pounds or 46 pounds, I think. So he was about 6', he's about 6'4".
Yeah.
And he looked like a stud athlete. We're talking about, you can think, if you tell me he could run, jump, and do all this stuff, and, you know, it's like, you would be, he's like kind of like superhero looking. Now you're looking at like, well, it looks different. It's like, you know, the movement of they are heavy walkers. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not like, I don't know. You know, as an action hero, I always feel like, you know, I looked at bodybuilding in the past, always like action heroes. You move fast, you know, you kind of like, so, but you have a lot of muscle. And now it's like, there's just a lot of muscle, and I don't know, there's something missing. And I don't know. I think people can't identify with the way how people look these days. And obviously they already, I mean, like, steroids is a thing that comes up since I can think. Even if it's, no, you can, you know, of course. But at least there was always this thing with hard work and, you know, minimum and all this stuff, and hard grind and a good dieting, you can look really good and you can get there. Yes. But now it's like, and that's the first thing that people say, "Oh my God, what?" You know, it's like it looks mutant. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, and I think that's where the disconnect with the people is, and I don't know. It's really hard to say, because I mean, I had to say I was 300 pounds, but then again, I was 6'2". Yes. And I never moved heavy. That is like, for instance, even Ed Connors always said that, he used to, you know, be part owner of Goldsham Enterprise and stuff. And he always said, "Man, if I see you walk through the gym, you don't walk heavy. You don't look like you are 300 pounds. You know, you walk easy, you know, you kind of like, you know, you just don't drag, you know, you're not sluggish, you know." So anyway, But that's what I always hear. I don't know if that has to do with that. It's hard to pinpoint, but there's something obviously not going right. You know?
It's almost like and I don't want to say this, it's almost like they're getting too big in terms where it's like, well, I'll never be able to look like that without doing insane amounts of this. I think that is what you're pinpointing, Gunter.
Yeah, you see, like for instance, actually this year, how do you Japan, right?
Mm-hmm.
I actually think he's a good Mr. Olympia. I don't think he's overly like where you go, you know what I mean? He's shredded. He has that muscle. His condition is incredible, and his physique is great. And you can look at him as like, well, you know, he's not bigger than a Ramy, but I feel like
he's more relatable.
He looks good. It's like it's an all over good look.
Yes.
And well, who knows? Maybe it's coming.
I wouldn't. I'm not a judge. I wouldn't mind as a spectator seeing that look come back, like the Kevin Levrone look. Those big but shredded, but not out of this world where it's like to a point it's too big, and obviously I just got to pop the picture up of you one more time because holy shit. I mean, muscles galore there. I mean, Gunter, before we get you out of here, I've got to know, you've been in the bodybuilding forever. You've seen it all. I mean, there is really no one better, more knowledgeable than you. What is your biggest tip for an up-and-coming bodybuilder after everything you've seen, sir?
The biggest tip is I was like, I would say first of all, go and try don't to be looking like someone else. Try to look, how you feel good. I mean, like first of all, how you feel good about yourself, but also go your path. Make yourself look, because some people, like I said, it goes with, I need to be as big as he is. I would put it away. It's like it has nothing to do with it. Try to be the best that you can be, get your body to, complete to a complete look, and don't watch literally what other people do. Find your own way, because not everybody's ways is, or other people's way is your way. And I did it all my life that way. And I kind of, in the beginning of the times, I did a lot of extra work, hard grinding and stuff, and it paid off at the end. Don't choose the easy way. Bodybuilding is a marathon; it's not a sprint. And I've seen many people who come up fast. That scares me always. And I had the weirdest thing happen one time, and I was in China. I did a seminar, and I talked to somebody. I got asked about a guy, what I think about him, and I said, well, he's young, but what scares me is like he's so big. Bodybuilding takes time. Your heart is a muscle.
Yes.
Don't put muscle, force it, and your heart is not keeping up. And all of a sudden, all your organs are failing because of it. And sure enough, when I got asked about that, I don't want to mention name, but when I got asked about the guy, I said the day before, I did a seminar, and somebody comes in, what do you think of it? I said, well, I'm just scared. I'm scared that there could something happen. I don't believe in that coming to a extreme weight, being really heavy in literally 5 years or less than 5 years. That can't be healthy. It took me literally 10 years, actually well longer than that, from 18 to 30 to kind of start get the full look, that complete look that I could beat Ronnie. It took me literally 14 years to get there. So I had to train slowly, step by step, and grinding and stuff. And I didn't go like, you know what I mean? It was like literally step by step. Sure. And when he came back the next day to the second day of the seminar, he told me, how did you know? And I said, what do you mean, how did you know? I said, the guy I'm asking you yesterday. I said, yeah, why? He said, he died last night. And it was the weirdest thing. I'm telling you, I never forget that. It was, I couldn't even believe it happened. And I said, I'm not surprised. It's like, take your time. It's a grind. It takes long. And the thing is, discipline with bodybuilding is what really gets you there. Don't do it. Oh, this guy was. It's like it doesn't matter. At the end is where you are, where you're gonna be, and then also there's a life always after bodybuilding. It's always, and it's like, and that keeps you. You don't want to have people talking about you, and then all of a sudden they talk about you and you don't hear it anymore. You want to hear them talking about you when you're still living and you can hear about it. So that's the only things that I can say to that. It's like take your time, and bodybuilding is marathon, is not a sprint, and don't look at others how fast they get anywhere. And it's just take your time and be patient and just make progress from year to year.
Well, Gentle Giant, we are still talking about you today, sir. You are a legend. You can hear everyone say you are a legend. Thank you from all of us for making the sport so much better. I mean, you truly are just an amazing human being. And Gunter, before we go, the floor is yours. Where can we find your content? Is there anything you're working on? Any codes? The floor is yours. I almost said big fella, but I guess Gentle Giant, the floor is yours.
Well, so my wife and I, we had a business for a while. We started Bionic Body, and then right before COVID hit, we actually closed the business. But during that time, we developed our own line, and we have actually a set of kettlebells that goes Bionic. They call Bionic Body, and they are actually wrapped and stuff. You can drop them. Well, and obviously that was a great thing that we discovered, because during COVID and stuff, the sales were great and stuff. So we are actually on Amazon and several other stores, Costco, online, Walmart, and online stores, and it's the Bionic Body by Bionic Body gear. So, and I have some of the products I started with a company. It's just a pre-workout and stuff, but but I don't do my website and stuff. I just kind of do a little bit on Instagram and things like that. So this is just kind of like just on Amazon and stuff, and doing a little bit of that.
Well, you've got me hooked on those dumbbells. I mean, first person to purchase one of those dumbbell sets. I mean, send me a screenshot. I will send you a box full of goodies and a signed autograph from the legendary guests we've had on these shows. So we can find this on Amazon, correct, Gunter?
Oh, like Bionic Body gear, like no, these are kettlebells.
Yeah. So we can find the kettlebells online.
Yeah, that's online. We also have other, like, for resistant bands. We have actually bars and handles and all that stuff. Yeah, we had like a whole bunch of products. Some of them do really well, some of them are not. So you kind of move those out who do not so well, and you move on with that. But you find it on Amazon for sure, yeah.
Okay, first person to get one of those, send me a screenshot. I will send you some stuff. I might have to get one of those. I mean, I've been looking a little small. I'm not looking like you, sir. Guys, please go check out Gunter's content. I mean, I love the retro, the throwbacks with legends of you and competing with all these guys. I mean, first person to also follow the Gentle Giant on Instagram. I will have a little gift for you. I mean, make sure that happens. All links will be in this bio. Guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. The Underdog, and I'm going to say it the last time, the Gentle Giant out. Have a good one, guys.